Hey everybody, how's it going? I received a message and some comments by Fat Monk 6195, I believe is his name, Fat with PHAT, about White Scars, and he's doing a White Scars army, which is commendable considering it's an all-white army for the most part, and white's hard to paint, at least for me. Pretty much asking about White Scars, like how to build it, what to use, which codices here to use, and stuff like that. And I've answered some questions in a message to him, but I figured I'd do a video response, I guess, which is what I told him I'd do, about White Scars. Now, I'm not going to go into too much of the fluff of the White Scars, but pretty much you have an army that's fast, maneuverable, uses bikes a lot, and speeders, but also, you know, with the Khan special rules about flank and everything, it's has the potential to be a very mobile army regardless of how you field it. It doesn't have to be an all-bike army. It's not an all-bike chapter, so you can have guys on foot, no problem. Firstly, before the new codex came out, the White Scars had the option with the traits and whatnot you could take in the old Space Marine Codex, but then the Dark Angel Codex came out, and for a while people have been using Ravenwing as White Scars even before the new Dark Angels Codex came out. And then the new Dark Angel Codex came out, and people started, for the time being, and even to this day, use Ravenwing to represent White Scars, and that's fine. You got cool bikers, being fearless. You got differences in how they work as far as the land speeders and what war gear they can take, and you don't really have a dedicated special character. I mean, you do have Samael, which you have to take, but Samael on a jet bike is kind of meant solely for Dark Angels and their successor chapters, I guess, considering the Dark Angels are the only people with a working jet bike in the Imperium. You can easily get around that by just representing it with a very flashy bike, or just representing it with a jet bike and just saying, yeah, whatever. The cool thing about this codex is that it allows you to take a land speeder HQ. So you can have a White Scars led by a land speeder HQ. The other option is, of course, the Space Marine Codex. And the two options here is, well, three technically. A captain, be on a bike or not. So that's, well, I guess it's 4. Or Kasara Khan on a bike or not. Some people just go with a bike captain if they want bikes as troops, because the Khan can be a little pricey on a bike. Me being a fan of fluff, I always suggest taking a special character that makes your army work. With Dark Angels you have to, for example, but for a Space Marine Codex, considering a generic captain can go on a bike and give you the bikes as troops, it's still nice to field your special character. It gives you the feel of your army. That's why Salamanders feared Vulcan, and that's why Crimson Fish should field Pedro, etc., etc. So, before you choose a codex, you have to decide on how you're going to build the army, and there's really 2 ways, or 3 ways, I guess, you can do a White Scars army. Pure bike, mixture of bikes with infantry, or heavier vehicles. I mean, they don't have that many heavy vehicles, fluff-wise. I mean, they have them, but not in high numbers. Those are the chapters. And no bikes, but purely mobile infantry. So, if you're doing all bike, these 2 codices are the ways to go. Remember, the war gear in Dark Angels works like the old Space Marine Codex, while the new Space Marine Codex has all the new rules, and stuff like that. Ravenwings are fearless. If you use counts as Ravenwing army rules, you have to use the Dark Angel Codex, where Ravenwing is fearless, needs Samael, and you pretty much build as you would build Ravenwing, and you have a White Scars army. With the Space Marine, you can either go captain on a bike or Corsair Khan on a bike. Corsair Khan on a bike is very cool. He's a cool special character. You can build a very tough and durable Space Marine captain on a bike, giving him artificer armor, a storm shield, and hellfire rounds on his bolter with a relic blade, and make him a little points heavy, but very survivable. But that's neither here nor there. And then you of course, you can field bikes here as troops. Only Space Marine bikes, not scout bikes. But then you have the option of a land speeder squadron like you do in the Raven Wing, but the land speeder squadron and Space Marines can all take special weapons, not just one or two. And you have the options of scout bikes to help flesh it out. Now, if you go to the exact opposite, where you want to go just pure infantry, I suggest the Space Marine Codex with Corsair Khan on foot. There's a nice model of him on foot. If you want to use it on a bike, just use the White Scar upgrade kit, parts of it at least, and then you can represent him on a bike because it doesn't have a dedicated model on a bike. But if you want to do it on foot, he still grants his rules to everybody. So your dedicated transports get outflank, at least the Rhinos, I know that for a fact. So you can have a highly mobile army without bikes, representing them on foot, which isn't, you know, unfluffy. It still fits. I wouldn't recommend the Dark Angels Codex, because then it's just Dark Angels on foot. It doesn't really have any pizzazz or feel of White Scars. Now, if you're gonna mix bikes and people on foot, you can do both codices. Although it's a little more favorable to represent the Khan on a bike. That way you get him with his cool bike. You can field bike troops as well as regular troops, and still have the outflank for everybody. Whereas if you field Samael and use it counts as a Ravenwing army, only your bikes can outflank, is only your bikes have scout. Now the fearless bikes with scout, and that's huge because you know you won't run off the board because you're fearless. But and it makes Ravenwing infantry with infantry works great in Dark Angels. It's not as mobile because only the Ravenwing really are the mobile parts of that force. But again, you can field Samael on a land speeder that counts as some Khan in a land speeder, and just go from there. The best way to supplement an mixed bike and infantry army is like a squad of tacticals, at least one to hold an objective near you, with a Rhino if you want, just to have a good fire base, because it's meant to be a highly mobile army. And then you field your bike troops, if you even have them as troops, which you should. And then you can supplement that with Assault Marines in either codex, because Assault Marines give you some melee punch, which is severely lacking in a bike army. Yeah, they have higher toughness. They can move fast. They can shoot full distance all the time. They can shoot full distance and charge. You know, so you can rapid fire with plasma, or rapid fire regardless and charge. And that's great. They're fast. They're tougher. But they're smaller squad sizes. It's a smaller army, and they just don't have the assault punch. Only the sergeants of the Ravenwing get the assault punch if you give them a power weapon, because they keep their bolt pistol, so they get +1 attack. The Space Marine bikers don't. So the Assault Marines, be them in a Rhino or whatever, or with the jump packs, can keep up, and they can supplement the shooting punch you get with the bike army with some decent hand-to-hand power. And I suggest, if you're going either codex for that, although I'm a big fan of use a special character you're given, and the Khan is good. People don't use the Khan. Then again, people do use the Khan, so it's not like one's the right answer or not. So to pretty much wrap up, these are the plus and negatives for each codex that I've said already. These are pretty much only 2 codices you can use to properly represent White Scars in either method of infantry with bikes or bikes. If you're going to use no bikes, I suggest the regular Space Marine Codex. Other than that, if you want to use the new stuff, you can use like Land Speeder Storms in the new Codex, because Dark Angels won't get that. You can still use them no problem. Remember, the bikes are a staple of White Scars, but they're not solely White Scars. Ravenwing is solely bikes, that's their company, but the White Scars chapter has, you know, heavy weapons, has some tanks, and has people on foot. So, as long as you keep the idea of a mobile, hard-hitting, hit-and-run army, you really can't go wrong. I hope that helped out at all. If there's any more questions, I'll do more videos on White Scars. So until next time, take it easy.